Hey guys, so I was going to talk about a show that is on HBO. You can probably find it on FedEx and a number of other ways you can get it. It is called Game of Thrones, which is a show based on a book. The overall books, I think, are called The War of the Seven Kingdoms or something like that. It's a series of books, but Game of Thrones is, I think, the first book. I haven't read the books, but a way of looking at it is it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, only without. It's like Lord of the Rings minus the whole ring element. So it's basically got all these people fighting for this throne, and there's multiple different kingdoms involved and it's basically a power struggle. It has become a basis for a lot of DDRs and other games that people play and create. There are multiple families involved in clans, if you want to look at it that way. There's also, it's a very interesting world they create because it's similar to Lord of the Rings, but at the same time it takes a lot of the mystical kind of bullshit out, if you want to look at it that way. Like, they don't have a bunch of elves running around, but at the same time there's legends of dragons and there's dragon eggs laying around everywhere. And there's these dire wolves, which are like giant wolves, and it's a very interesting series. If you're into Lord of the Rings, you're probably going to like this. What else to mention about it? From what I understand is that it does not exactly follow the book, which is always a catch. But it's supposed to be kind of like Harry Potter in that the book was so detailed. There's more detail in the book, and they just weren't able to put it all on the pages, which is a common problem with books to movies. What else about it? The series goes on a lot longer than this miniseries, as I understand it, at least the first miniseries. It sounds like they're going to make some more of them. Of course, you know, HBO is kind of fickle in that way, so we'll see what they end up doing. What else? Well, they take a lot of the mystical stuff out, like I said, but they kind of use some basic symbolism. I mean, it's an interesting series because of the environments they have. In most movies, they stick to a number of environments per movie. If you were going to have a series of Star Wars, for example, the first Star Wars was kind of like you had a desert planet and then you had the Death Star, you know. For the second one, you kind of had ice everywhere, and then swamp, and then kind of weird space station. So that's kind of where you were. In the third one, you kind of had a weird grassland as your main element. So you kind of see there's different elements, different world kind of concepts. In this series, they have multiple world elements. Like, they have kind of a Mediterranean tropic, then they kind of have something, I guess, resembling more civilization, kind of like a Roman society, and then they have something more close to England or Scotland or Ireland. So there's kind of a diversity, and then they just have like the North, quote unquote. So it's an interesting concept of a series in that way. What else is interesting about the series? The acting is not bad. The dialogue is pretty good. And one key element that I should mention about the series is that the killings, and there are killings and there are scenes where they go visit whorehouses and such. So it's not like Harry Potter where, you know, everything's kind of like Disney-rific, you know. I mean, it's got kind of darker elements here and there. But having said that, it's a series most people of mature ages can enjoy. It's got some drama if you're into that too. So it's a pretty well-rounded series, all things considered. If you want to catch it, like I said, you can find it on HBO. I think there's other ways to finding it. I think you can get it online somehow. I'm not exactly sure. I've basically just been watching it on HBO. It's on Sundays on HBO, if you can get that. I think there's a way to do it on Netflix. However, I'm not 100% on that. I just know it's on HBO, basically. But I have heard that you can get it on the internet or other means. what else about the series? I just want to mention that I think that it is a good to decent series. If I was going to rank it, this is not an anime, so it doesn't fall under the anime category, but if I was going to rank it in its own category, I give it... I like it better than Lord of the Rings, to be honest. I give Lord of the Rings a 4 because I had such high estimates for it. This is just to give you kind of a scale. I had such high expectations and it kind of disappointed me. This one, I had no expectations and it surpassed them because I had those expectations, so I'd probably give it something like a 6. So that's kind of how you can gauge it if you want. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Acting's pretty good, like I said. The scenery in the background's pretty good. The dialogue, in parts of it are clever, and parts of it kind of runs kind of funny. They add accents, they invent a language, so you kind of have to give it up for them. I mean, this is an HBO series, so, you know, you got to keep that in mind. This isn't like some giant blockbuster. This is HBO. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess that's basically it. The series has been going on for a little bit, but you kind of, if you started now, I think you'd have a decent understanding of what's going on. I have read part of the first book, like skimmed it, so I have an idea of where it's going, and I don't think you've missed that much. You just need to, you know, if you want to know what's going on, watch an episode, and then basically Wikipedia till you're up to date is what I do. So, yeah, subscribe, comment, rate. That's it. Bye, folks.